Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, Jerrold Meinwald was fascinated by chemistry for as long as he could remember.
It's a very strange childhood. My friend and I would meet every Saturday for years and do chemistry. Before we were teenagers, we were making fireworks and we were making synthetic dyes. Sometimes a reaction takes a couple of hours. We would play music while we were waiting for the reactions to be done.
After a year of college in New York, Meinwald turned 18 and was drafted to fight in World War II. Afterward, he went to the University of Chicago and then to Harvard for a PhD in organic chemistry. After that, he joined the faculty at Cornell.
I was interested in compounds that occurred in nature that had interesting physiological activities.
One of his first projects was to determine the structure of catnip oil, which usually makes cats wildly playful. Meinwald thought to present his synthetic catnip oil at a seminar. He asked a friend to bring in his cat.
At the end of the lecture, we gave them to my friend's cat, who couldn't care less. It turns out that some cats love catnip and some cats don't. It's a genetic trait.
During the next 5 years, Meinwald worked out the structure and synthesis of many other important compounds, but the field was very competitive.
Most young organic chemists all wanted to do the same thing, and so when Tom Eisner joined the biology faculty at Cornell, that proved to be a great opportunity because he knew a huge amount about natural history, in particular about insects, and he knew dozens and dozens of interesting phenomena where insects seemed to use chemistry for some vital aspect of their life, and nobody knew what the chemistry was.
And so the field of chemical ecology was born out of the collaboration of Meinwald and the late Tom Eisner. Their collaboration lasted 50 years at Cornell until Eisner's death in 2011.
In chemical ecology, one tries to understand the chemical interactions between organisms, communicating how to find mates, communicating where is a food source, communicating something you want to avoid because it's dangerous.
By understanding these natural relationships, farmers can limit use of dangerous pesticides. Medical researchers can find new inspiration for natural and synthetic drugs. And scientists can begin to decipher the chemical signals that bombard us every day. Meinwald and Eisner had a very special collaboration.
We collaborated as equals. The other thing I think that made the collaboration work had nothing to do with science, and that was that we both loved music very much. We probably did 50 years of music together just as we did 50 years of science together.
They unraveled complex stories of insect and plant interactions. For example, some types of butterfly males must stroke the antennae of females during courtship in order to get the female to accept them. Meinwald and Eisner found out what chemicals the female wanted.
To our great surprise, their chemical structure looked a lot like a bunch of plant toxins. Here was an animal making a kind of compound that had never been seen in the animal world before. So Tom began raising these butterflies, and he found that the males that he had raised chased females, but were unable to mate with them.
The males were missing the toxins, which Meinwald could synthesize in his lab. When Eisner brushed the synthetic chemical onto a part of the butterfly called a hair pencil, they were able to mate normally. In nature, the males eat a toxin-containing plant. The toxin ends up in the sperm to protect his offspring from predators.
This was perhaps the first example of getting the chemistry of what a male is telling the female and how she responds to it.
It was the first of many stories unraveled by Meinwald and his colleagues.
It's important to understand, and especially if you study the chemistry of disease vectors or of agricultural pests or of forest pests, if you understand how they communicate, maybe you can send them misleading messages and disrupt their lives with non-toxic compounds.
But to Meinwald, that is not the only reason to study chemical ecology.
They're lovely stories to tell people about to say, look how clever nature is. That alone has its own reward. We will understand a lot more about the beauty of nature when you understand what's really going on. It becomes that much more beautiful.
Jerrold Meinwald was awarded the 2013 Benjamin Franklin Medal in Chemistry.